and gentlemen, we are officially live. Holy Kathy, what is this? That is so loud. What is this music? Is this like a freaking Disney thing? Look, if you can't tell, these are trying times. Trump is refusing to do open press events. And because of that, man, I really don't want to listen to this freaking music. I'm going to mute this. Trump is refusing to do open press events. And because of that, I am stuck streaming a Hochul announcement. I don't know anything about Hochul speeches, but I guess I have to learn, honestly. I don't have any good data on Hochul. Let's see if anyone does. Yeah. These Hochul markets used to be decent, I think. These are only like 23K volume so far. Mom Donnie did an announcement this morning on groceries. Was hoping we get a market, but it was kind of too late. Pretty early announcement. But at least today we have the JD turning point at 6 p.m. Hopefully that gets some good volume. But I think Trump is supposed to start doing public appearances tomorrow. So that'll be good, getting Trump back. It's just been brutal, a whole week without Trump. I mean, man. We had the Sunday Fox interview. Thankfully, had like the Rory Masters mention. But just overall, times are tough when there's no Trump. That's like what I mainly focus on, so. It's been a lot slower these last few days. Audit, I have no positions. I'm just going to watch, maybe live trade this. I don't know Hochul. I don't watch Hochul. This is purely desperation because there's no Trump mentions. So I need to prepare for droughts. You know, if Trump all of a sudden starts going closed press, I need to have other markets to look at. So this is more of like this is a learning experience, you know, watching Hochul, understanding Hochul. Learning what drives Hochul, what she wants to talk about. Also trying to see if I can get good data on Hochul. I think I found a pretty good data source for some of these transcripts. Let me see. Do any of you guys play Hochul, like, often? Yeah, this is the YouTube stream. She also has a stream on her actual website. Vimeo one is better than YouTube? One has cut in the past? Yeah, that's happened before. That's how, like... Let me see. So Vimeo one is better, you're saying? I don't know how delayed she normally is. All right, big clutch from Radar mentions. His tool mentions terminal has Hokel historicals. I'm going to check those out. Because I have no priors on Hokel. I have no understanding of, like... I haven't watched enough of these. It's just like when... Lately I've been completely... you know, just having all these Trump mentions lately. You get so used to them. And they do so much volume that you're just like, why do I even focus on these smaller mentions? All right, let's see. Okay, sick. Radar's guiding me on how to get there. Let's go. All right, I'm in. I'm locked in. I got a bunch of transcripts. Oh, let's see. I got 42 Hokel historicals here. I'm trying to become a Hokel expert, but I'm definitely not now. I know absolutely nothing about Hokel. I'm just a fish. That's why I need to learn. How much is less than the cost of vibe coding? I mean, it's $50 a month, so depends what you want. I'm pretty lazy, and like $50. Like if you guys are like, it depends. If you're trading with like $100, probably not worth it to pay for an expensive tool. But like, to me, $50 is like a drop in the bucket. If I were to pay for a tool, my old tool that I would pay for was like $200 a month. That I might stop paying for. I don't really look at for Trump, for example. It's like I don't really look at if you're just a new person, I would just suggest, like, for Trump, obviously, just use roll call. Roll call is all free transcripts. Like, it doesn't make sense for you to pay for a tool. But if you're like someone who's like more serious, doing like a good amount of volume, then it's obviously helpful. And I'm just kind of lazy. Do I want to spend the time to save $150 to $200 a month when, like, you know, I'm already this month I'm up 30K, like $200 to save time. All right, Hopeful. What's going on? All right, this is the Q&A waiting room now as we wait for Hokul. I also don't realize, like, Hokul topics. Where are people getting data on Hokul topics? For Mamdani, the data that you could get to is, like, names of live streams, and then Mr. Jones in the Discord would sometimes give a earlier announcement of, like, what the topic is that he would somehow get access to. But, like, for Hokul, where does this come out? Have you looked into trading earnings calls? Yeah, I used to a ton. But again, I stopped spending time on those because I would get more into, like, Trump, which was driving all this volume. All right, someone just told me to peep oil prices. Oh, nice. Kathy actually has a whole schedule on her page. See, this is how little I know. All right, so today she's touring a new housing developments, highlighting her let them build agenda. This is probably about lowering, like, barriers to getting permits approved or something like that. We're talking heat pump installations? Oh, so it's not housing related? According to her... Where is she saying she's talking heat pump installations? Calendar. It says 10 a.m. It's a housing development. She mentions heat pumps? I don't think so. Oh, 4 homes. Okay, got it. Interesting. It was posted yesterday, just a guess. Okay. Isn't insurance kind of cheap? If this is about housing? Maybe not. Seems like she'll sometimes talk about it in relation to housing, like... Maybe that's just recently. Yeah, it hits on car insurance, but she'll talk about car insurance, like, in relation to housing for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm just, like she's mentioned lately about, like, in her last one, she randomly linked auto insurance with housing and talking about, like, she said auto insurance, build more housing. Like, it's all seems to be part of some, like, budget talks when asked about it. Let's see. Oh, shit. Holy cow. Wait, dude, what is happening with oil prices? Holy shit. Are you guys seeing this? Oil is dumping. What's happening? Did Trump truce something? Dude, what is happening with oil? Let me check. Is there anything from Trump? Is this just a... Why is oil tanking? Is this like people are bullish on peace talks, but like I don't know. We did not appear to come up on a deal, but it's I mean the fact that oil is moving, it's like does someone know something about a deal? Very weird. Just dumping this hard. Wow. On what feels like no news. Have I just missed news? Vance just teased they might have a deal. When did he tease they might have a deal? You talking about yesterday on Fox? What did I miss? Dude, the end stage is we start on PMs and then we get into commodities, like all the crypto bros going into oil. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I don't know anything about commodities and I always try to avoid any traditional financial things, right? Like I'm not going to trade equities. I probably won't trade commodities, or at least that's what I've always, I've always been a big efficient market hypothesis guy. It's like, why am I going to try to compete with, much more savvy institutional players? But I won't lie. The last few weeks, the fact that like oil, equities, everything is so based off of like this admin and what Trump is posting on Truth, what yada yada, it honestly feels kind of easy to like trade oil or trade just in the sense of like very short term, right? Like Sunday when Vance announced that the peace talks didn't work. Like that was a very obvious oil long. And I feel like with a background in mentions, just knowing how to get the lowest latency stuff, knowing how to like, there has to be edge for me to like just open up a big long on oil. Like right when that news breaks live before it's even reported in big media. So I might dip my toes a little bit into commodities with like $1,000, something tiny. Just purely based off of like, yeah, exactly, Radar, because other people aren't like actually watching these speeches, you know what I mean? And they don't, but it seems so obviously binary. Like, do I have any idea how to actually value a barrel of oil? Absolutely not. But I know in a binary sense, if something is good or bad based off of breaking news. So I'm just purely talking about like going long short based off of breaking news. But obviously then it's like I would have no idea when to exit, but I guess you exit after 30 minutes. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I try to be very cautious because there's so much I don't know about that space, and it's such a more difficult space to me, like finding an edge there compared to something like mentions that I know very well. But just seems like I should be considering it. So maybe I'll set up a Hyperliquid. That's what I've been considering. I don't know how like fee structure and everything works on there. Yeah, I feel like I've had such a shattering of my whole mindset of like, if you were to ask me anything for the last 20 years, and I still believe this, I tell people do not actively trade any like investments, right? You should just be a passive investor. Efficient market hypothesis. All I ever did for the last 7 years since I've been investing is just buy index funds and chill. And I still would tell most of you watching that is the best thing you can possibly do. But I am having like this internal angst of like, once I built out an edge on like prediction markets, I'm like, okay, shit, I actually can make money like actively trading. Maybe I could actually do this in traditional financial markets, but no, it's true though, Radar. Like I'm not like, I don't know. It's just because I've just been for the longest time, like efficient market. I would tell people to never actively trade. And I'm not saying that I would change. Definitely for the general populace, that is 100% true. But I'm just starting to see things that I'm like, maybe I should be leveraged long or short oil or something, So I might test it out for fun, see how it works. But again, I can understand it a lot more again with like commodities, stuff like that, because it's very obvious to me like where it's gonna go based off of news, right? Like when Trump announced the ceasefire, you had to go short oil, right? Like that's just, but like, is there a world oil would ever move up on that? I don't think so, right? I mean, again, maybe there's something I'm missing, but so in this, purely in this environment where it's very binary based off of communication from the admin, it's really easy for a layperson like me to interpret. Feels like I could actually have an edge if I'm quick enough, and but yeah, this is an absolute just crazy. BTC rallying. This is my index of choice, by the way. My best bet on this, I don't have one, I'm sorry. We're all learning together, and Tony. I'm honestly not good on Hochul mentions. I almost never trade Hochul. So I'm not going to tell you I have an edge. We're just trying to learn. Trump hasn't been live, so I'm watching Hochul, trying to understand. Hochul mentions trying to diversify. Dang, man, this crazy to see though. All this movement and freaking oil, everything. Wait, is my Kathy Hochul screen now like unreadable? All right, let's see Hochul. I also just like, I think I basically only buy VU too. Yeah, that's the way to go. I buy VTI, which basically the same thing. If I were to give you guys any financial advice, even though I won't give you financial advice, it would be to just buy index funds with your investments. And then if you want to actively trade, do it with a very small port, right? Like most of your money should be in passive investments, especially retiring. And if you guys are watching and you're young, like you could have such an unbelievable advantage if you start saving and investing early. I know I sound like such a boomer, but it's really true. Don't fall for the stupid FUD that people post saying like, don't invest in a 401k, all this. That is complete bullshit. You should be investing in a 401k if you work your job. You should be so here's order of operations, okay? If you work at a company and you can afford to save, right? So that assumption of afford to save means you don't have a ton of credit card debt and you don't have a ton of ideally student loans at a high interest rate. If you do have those things, you should try to pay those off first. But outside of that, if you have money to invest, number one, you should contribute to your 401k up until the employee match. So, typically when you get a corporate job, they'll match your contributions up to say 6% of your paycheck, something along those lines. You should make sure you're maxing your 401k at least up to that 6%. That way it's free money, right? They will double your money. It is a double your money glitch if you contribute to your 401k up to the company match. That's step one. I would say step two, if you are on a high deductible health insurance plan, open up an HSA. That's a health savings account. Typically, a lot of companies will also match HSA contributions. Most corporate companies will. What an HSA is, it's a health savings account. It's going to roll over year, so you'll never lose the funds. Any dollar you contribute to an HSA, you're not taxed on. So it's just like making a 401k contribution. You save every dollar you contribute, you're saving, say, 30 cents in tax. And then the other benefit of an HSA. Okay, here we go. Hochul's coming on. We'll do another financial thing at the end.
Featured in Gilded Age movies and shows, and so it's fun when they come to town and bring the whole crew here. And I'm joined by some extraordinary leaders. We literally have 6 of the 9 Capital Region mayors joining us, as well as John McDonald, who's playing hooky just a little bit from the Capitol, as am I, but we'll give him a pass on this. But I do want to recognize our mayors, because these are the heart and soul of our region. These are the people that are doing the hard work. Their neighbors know them. They're recognized walking down the street. They're told every single problem, large or small. I've been there. So let me just say hello to Mayor Carmela Mantello, the city of Troy, and thank her for what she's done with this incredible jewel. So sometimes I bop into Troy and I see her on the street corner, so we have run into each other. And of course, across the river from Albany is Mayor Dorsey Appleers, who's done a great job, and I look forward to deepening our relationship and partnership over many years. From the city of Rensselaer, we have John DeFrancesco. We thank him for his support.
It should have been easy.
He's happy to get some support from the state recently, so we'll come visit there as well. Watervliet is represented by Mayor Charles Petrocelli. We've been up there many times as well. Bill Keeler from Cohoes, as well as Mayor Joe Harris from City of Hudson, and of course we have our Troy Common Council President Sue Steele. So this is the dream team, and you're also going to hear from 2 individuals who are really making a difference here, and that is Jeff Morrell, the principal of Rosenblum Companies, which is why we're here today. What a company this is that is so forward-thinking and embracing technologies and ideas to make a project right here in Troy, a place. If you remember what this block used to be, it was an abandoned bank, 1 story, sort of a throwback to the urban renewal days when people decided tearing down these magnificent brownstones was a good idea, and you could put up a 1-story bank that looked like it was right out of Soviet Russia. I digress, but if you go through many of our upstate communities, they have been ruined by the 1970s architects, and if I ever meet one of them someday, I'm going to tell them that, because there was a lot of history and character and charm that was destroyed from here across the entire Erie Canal and down the Hudson River. And so now we're trying to make up for many of the wrongs of the past. And so projects like this, a housing project which is going to create 71 units, you'll hear from Jeff how incredible this is, what they're doing with the energy efficiencies. It's all geothermal. The insulation is second to none, and the way that they're trying to just help drive down energy costs and buildings like this is really a role model for what I want to see elsewhere across the state. So we'll be talking more about that. But also, we have Habitat for Humanity represented here as well, Christine Schutte, and you'll hear from her about why what we're trying to do across the river in Albany in the Capitol right now is so critically important for projects like this. This project was approved a couple of years ago, 2023 actually. 3 years ago, expect to be done this summer. But you'll hear from Jeff the delays, the bureaucratic delays after all the local approvals. It's zoned properly. It's you check on, you have the whole checklist of everything that has to be done to get approved, and then you have a 50-year-old law in the state of New York known as seeker, which at the time was necessary, but since 1975, many other laws have been intervening that now make that unnecessary in many of these housing projects. And so that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about cutting the red tape, breaking down barriers, and letting communities build. And again, these are only projects where the local officials want them to happen, that's already previously disturbed land. So we're not talking about pristine fields and farmlands and forests. We're talking about downtown areas and suburban areas that have already been disrupted.
I don't know if there's Q&A. I assume But I don't watch enough
sometimes
Hochul
2
to really
years
know.
extra level of review that is just so commonplace and has always been ingrained in the process for so many years and decades that no one ever stopped and asked the question, why are we doing this? Well, that's what I do. I walk through that Capitol, look at laws, I look at projects. I say, why are we doing it this way? Because the status quo is rarely acceptable to me. You see that in many of the other initiatives I'm taking on, but this is one I feel passionately about, having spent 14 years reviewing local projects as a town board member, the planning board review, the zoning board review, the IDA review, the traffic safety board review, and the town board review, and the environmental review that's done at the local level. So I know those systems are in place. They're important to me. I would never compromise on any of them.
If there is Q&A,
but
oil,
this is a way
gas,
we can
gasoline. So she doesn't do a lot of Q&A.
The housing that has to happen in communities like Troy and all the communities represented across this entire state, because we have young people, graduates of RPI and the seniors who want to downsize to be part of the vitality of a downtown like Troy. And they can't find housing. And if we can remove the barriers from the state level, work with the local governments, work with developers who are visionary and forward-thinking, and to start rethinking our communities, downtowns and suburban and rural areas, we can finally have the capacity that says, yes, we have a home for you right here in New York. And as we've seen in other communities that I've toured, like New Rochelle, you build more housing, guess what? The rents come down. Not just stop going up, not staying the same, but they're literally going down because of the capacity they're building. So I'm very excited about this project.
I put
this is one
some
of my
cheap
favorite things
bids
to do.
up for oil
To get out of the Capitol
and
to
insurance.
but also take on a
But let's see if she
problem with the
doesn't
fact that
do
it takes 56% longer to build a project in New York
Q&A
State than other
we
states.
get.
Process that. 56%
rents.
longer to build a project in New York because of laws like seeker than it does elsewhere. I want to make sure that we are allies to our communities. We let you have the vision you want to be realized, and having lived that experience and knowing the power that Albany has, as governor, I'm committed in this budget to making the reforms we need to have so we can let these projects continue. So again, we're not rolling back protections. We're not eliminating local review. We're not saying anything goes. We're just saying let's inject some common sense into this. And I'm very excited about this. And also all of my communities here who are pro-housing communities. As you know, we launched the most ambitious housing plan in 50 years, got it through the legislature, and have put money on the table, real money, $750 million that's available every year for communities that are committed to meeting growth targets. And they're benefiting now.
I have bids in like the single digits.
Programs like the Downtown Revitalization Initiative.
I don't think I'll even get filled.
New York Main Street programs, extra money for sewer and water initiatives, which are also very important. So I'm going to continue that funding as we continue to grow the number. First year was about 10 or 20 pro-housing communities. Now we have over 400 and more to come. So that's all I have to say. I want them to build. Let's start building, everybody. Thank you.
All right, let's see what happens now.
Jeff Morrell, the principal of Rosenboom Companies, I'd like to hear from you on what's so
Okay, so now she's going to toss
extraordinary
it
about
over
this
to other
project, but
people.
also why what we're doing in the Capitol makes a real difference.
Those that know me know I'm barely speechless,
Holy
but
shit.
honestly, Governor, thank you for those kind of words. Thank you for your leadership. We will certainly work hard to live up to that. And also thank you. I mean, this is an opportunity for us on behalf of Seth Rosenblum, my partner, and our entire team to thank you, because this project's also a recipient of a Restore New York Award, which quite frankly, without this project would not be possible. So thank you. So Seoul is unique amongst new developments in the Capital District, because in order to address a shortage of high quality, lower cost apartments, most of the 71 units here at Seoul are actually studios. And additionally, 30% of those studio apartments will be available at rents to individuals earning 65% of the average median income. For the Albany, Troy, Schenectady MSA, which includes young professionals earning typical entry-level salaries in key industries for the region, like semiconductor, IT, healthcare, and education. Every resident here at Seoul will enjoy full kitchens with Energy Star appliances, washer and dryer, 9-foot ceilings, large windows, sustainable finishes, along with an array of communal amenities. But it's the building systems that provide some of Seoul's most compelling features, as the governor mentioned, Seoul will utilize geothermal heat pumps for heating, cooling, and domestic hot water, super insulated walls and windows, energy recovery ventilation, and a rooftop solar array to achieve the rigorous Passive House Institute of US or FIAS certification. FIAS certified buildings actually reduce energy use by an estimated 40 to 60%, but they are actually quieter, healthier, and more comfortable for our residents.
Even if we don't make any money, we're learning
this
about
building,
New York. As a New York
in many ways
resident,
is ultra modern, but again, at the same time, given the scar that was left by urban renewal on this particular property, we really wanted to design a building and an exterior that would exist in harmony with the historic brownstones of the surrounding neighborhood, right down to the front doors and stoops that face Fifth Avenue. Indeed, Seoul's transit-oriented location is very much an extension of our sustainable design. CDTA bus service is just 2 blocks away, and residents can walk or pedal to restaurants and shopping, cultural venues, also Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, Russell Sage College, and numerous other employers are within walking distance. By repositioning what was a vacant, blighted parcel in the very heart of our downtown, we can address urgent housing needs while creating a new standard for efficient, sustainable development that catalyzes Troy's ongoing revitalization. Anthony. But as the governor mentioned, the path to today has not been an easy one. It's taken us 4+ years. That's over 4 years to arrive at this point. And in addition to all the challenges of building on an infill site in a tight urban environment, we've faced double-digit inflation, supply chain issues, shortage of skilled labor, tariffs, threats to critical funding sources, red tape, and unclear, often
a lot of federal policies,
duplicative regulations. Seoul almost didn't happen several times. And that's why we truly appreciate the governor's efforts through the Let Them Build agenda to reduce the uncertainty, cost, and prolonged timelines of the state's current SECRA review for much needed new housing that, like Seoul, does align with the community's comprehensive plan, zoning, and other regulations. Seoul will be ready for residents to move in this coming August, and we are now accepting leases. So please visit Seoul.apartments.
No, fraudulent would not count for fraud
advertisement in to learn
strike.
More. And again, thank you. We're so thrilled to have you here.
All right, she's coming back up. She's probably gonna have someone else walk up.
Christine Schutte, the executive director of the Capitol Habitat for Humanity, will talk about what this means to communities that need to take care of housing for individuals in need. So thank you, Christine.
Well, congratulations, Jeff, and thank you so much, Governor Hochul, for your leadership. So families are dealing with a lot right now, not least of which are housing costs that just keep climbing and climbing. And at Habitat for Humanity, we see this firsthand. We are working with families who are doing everything right. They are working hard. They're trying to put down roots, and they're still struggling to find a home that they can actually afford. And we also see projects that could move the needle, but that are slowed down or even halted completely because of outdated environmental review processes. And so that's why fixing these processes is so important. Because today, something like that, those 4 years Jeff talked about, that could become the thing that stops new development in New York forever. For Habitat, those delays mean that we build fewer homes. They drive up costs, and they keep families from finding a safe place to live. And very few developers are building what we might call a starter home. That is a modest home, affordable for a first-time home buyer. Because even on a good day, the numbers barely pencil out. So if you add in 4 years of lengthy and expensive delays, no one is building that. So we toured this beautiful, outstanding apartment building, and less than 2 miles up the road in North Central Troy, Habitat is building some of those starter homes that we talked about. So we have 4 single-family townhouses that are already under contract with 4 first-time low to moderate income home buyers. Thank you. And Habitat homeowners are folks working in our schools, in our hospitals, in our community organizations, in government, in our downtowns, really driving our economy and our society. But folks aren't able to purchase a home of their own. So what do those 2 projects have in common?
I really feel like I should move to upstate New York.
71-unit apartment building and 4 townhouses up the street.
It's kind of cool.
Apart from being beautiful and innovative and all electric and energy efficient, ours aren't passive house, but we'll work towards it. Aside from all that, what they have in common is that even though they were built within the city center on land that was previously developed, they were both subject to incredibly lengthy delays due to environmental review. And we know that this will continue to happen unless we look at things differently and make a change like the governor is. So I agree, we should keep environmental protections
I get this question
where they're needed, but at the same time, we can streamline projects that clearly benefit the community.
It's because I'm fast forwarding the
housing
stream.
goals. At Habitat, and I think all of us agree here,
Do you want to watch
we believe that everyone deserves a decent place to live,
if
and we
I
shouldn't
don't
let
do that,
outdated regulations
the feed that you guys
get
will
in
be
the way of us
watching
delivering
will
on
be
that promise.
20
Thank
seconds
you.
delayed from what you see on the market. It's the only way to get the lowest latency feeds. So I do this so that you can see a much faster stream of Kathy
Back to the
Hochul
Capitol. He's
versus
going
anywhere
to preach
else.
on our behalf. Preach,
But,
John, preach.
yeah, people.
So happy to take
What
any
economic
on-topic questions.
value?
Gary, you want to manage this?
Mac Daddy, do you know how important it is that people know what Kathy Hochul's going to say ahead of time? Do you understand how important the predictive value is there? We are in an economy
Jeff, right up here.
that is controlled
Easily
by
could have
true
shaved
social
like half a
posts.
year, and that was with
You don't think
a
it's good to
relatively
know
good outcome? We were
what
faced with
someone's
the
gonna say
potential
ahead of
for
time?
much more protracted project review, which frankly could have killed the project.
Look, if you can predict what Trump is going to
Total
post
is
on
about
True
4 years in
Social,
development.
you can make a lot of money. Knowing what Trump is going to say, knowing what political figures are going to say is one of the most important things.
Is this, where are you not seeing eye to eye with the legislature on this? I mean, you don't have a handshake deal
Attention
on this
economy, exactly.
issue in particular, and others, but on this particular one, where's the dissonance here?
Well, I know where I stand on this. I want to build more housing in this state to help drive down
It's
costs
all
and make New York
random
more
what they
affordable.
say in
I think it's
speeches.
fair game for you to ask anyone in the legislature whether or not
If
they
it's
support
if it's
our
all
initiative to
random what
make
people say
New York State a more livable
in
place.
mentions and
They can
speeches,
describe any
then
of the
how are there
challenges. There's been
consistently people that
some
are
efforts
profiting
to
on
restrict
mentions?
the locations, for
Like,
example,
doesn't that kind of like
and
go
limit the
against
uses. And
that
so
idea?
I'm not looking to have our ambition curtailed. I'm looking to have an ambitious plan that tries to make up for years of inaction and years of a status quo that has not served the people of the state very well. So that's my position is. I feel strongly about everything we put on the table.
So restricting locations is no go for you.
No, not at all. I mean, not geographically. Like taking large swaths of the state saying, this does not apply there. I don't know why. You can ask them.
Look at the Melania case. Who predicted she would say Epstein? Exactly. It's random.
Thank you.
Okay,
I think
no, you're right. The Epstein one was completely random. No one knew it was going to be on Epstein. Oh, I got to pull all my bids. She might be. But you certainly can't say that all markets are completely random, because then how are people profiting over a long run? Okay, so is she doing Q&A or no? Okay, she's staying out.
Take care. Bye-bye. Take care.
Is she just letting these people out then doing a Q&A?
LCA picking out your
Yeah, it looks like she is.
apartments? Washer and dryer included?
She's
That's all I need to
staying
know. My first place was 500 square feet, but it had a washer and dryer. So that's great. Want to close the door then?
What are they? Is she taking
Well, there you
questions or
go.
not?
There you go, Grace. We're going to continue working on our child care initiative, which is actually part of our budget.
Childcare?
Haven't seen a lot of stories on that other than early coverage, but that is something I'm really excited when this budget is finally done. That'd be a huge accomplishment to be on a serious path to universal child care. All of it going toward making New York more affordable and a best place to
Is
raise
this
families.
insurance angle with car insurance in terms of the budget?
Said,
Okay,
so
so
beautiful
she's
in the
doing
summertime,
Q&A.
which undeniably
All right.
since you stated, and that you feel strongly about the positions you've laid down before the legislature. Do you feel like these budget negotiations are going to continue, or is there, a desire to get things wrapped up, as people need to go home for these elections?
No, my desire was to be done April 1st. I
She's hitting the platform
set
points.
forth on a path, meeting with leadership early on in the fall and through the winter months and January, February, trying to get a cadence of making sure people understood what our positions were, why we support them, why they make sense for New Yorkers, New Yorkers support these. And this is just the normal process. I don't control this end of the timeline because we're putting forth our ideas. Yeah, there's been a lot of give and take. I want to say that we're not immovable on issues. We have moved and listened to the legislators and their thoughts, and and a few times evolved. But there are just some core values that I have, and I'm not going to stop fighting to have an affordability agenda that the people of this state deserve to have, and I'll fight for that. But wrapping up.
Oh, wrapping up.
Sooner than later is fine with me too. I'm on a path.
No, she's saying wrapping up on the budget, not wrapping up on the
good
speech.
Conversations. We really are. We meet often, and I would say, we're getting to the right places. We really are.
Yes, Governor. There's been a number of people, including Crystal Stokes, that are announced that they're going to leave the legislature. There's been objections from people that feel that there's a pattern of lawmakers who retire or announce that they're leaving past the point where petitions are due, which essentially allows them to pick their own.
No, I do not, Anthony.
To pick their own successor. Are you?
I am not like a
okay
guru.
with this situation, and in general, do you think that's something that
mentions,
needs to be changed? What are your thoughts on that overall?
No, they're following the process. I think that Crystal Stokes was planning to stay longer. I don't know that this is some sort of conspiracy to do something untoward. She's following the laws, and this is how it is. So, no, I think it's actually pretty rare. It doesn't happen with great regularity.
In general, is that something that, so just taking away the Crystal Stokes aspect of it, but just in general, there's been a number of other times it's happened, even in Buffalo, where it's happened. So you don't see a problem at all here that some of the good government people have?
It's a Buffalo question. What's she gonna do?
No, I think the process is what it is, and that this is still, as you can always point out examples, but the vast majority of time, vast majority of time, the system is such that candidates plan to run, they plan to stay, they petition to get on the ballot, and again, if something unforeseen happens, there is a mechanism that's been in place, Committee on Vacancies, that allows that person to be filled. I'm not concluding that there's something sinister about a process that has been in place for a long time.
In a time when there's voter suppression, are you concerned that there, in a district like that where it's, voters are essentially being, some people are arguing that they're being deprived of their chance to pick their own candidate, because now you have a candidate who's out there who's basically has almost no.
Last I checked, there's still a November election, and I'll tell you right now, given the fears I have and the threats out of Washington, this state is going to be aggressive in making sure there is nothing that interferes with our ability to have a fair and free election this November.
Your spokesperson put out a statement yesterday that attacked Senator Gianaris for, quote, defending a broken system that benefits trial lawyers, one of the top donors to the Senate campaign committee he controls. And I'm wondering, why are you attacking Gianaris for those donations? Are you saying he's bought by them? And then also, you've taken nearly $200,000 from auto insurance and insurance companies.
Insurance, let's
by
go.
Your own standards. Are you also bought by them
insurance?
as well?
I will say this. I was responding to criticism that is trying to infer that we are the roadblock, that we're not trying to cooperate, we're not trying to move this process along, and that is not true. When I don't hear the truth, I will always call it out, including the trial lawyers that he is defending, who are lying about cases, trying to convince the public that in those cases, if my law was in effect, that they would not have recoveries and monetary support for illnesses and injuries. That is false. It's been called out false. And so I'm not going to let people undermine something that has been hard to do. And no one has done it before me because of the hardness of it. But I will say also, there are 20 million people in the state of New York who will benefit from these efforts. And I would not be doing this if I was not 100% convinced that this will result in the reduction of premiums for auto insurance in the state of New York. It's gone up 80% just in a handful of years.
How could you doubt insurance?
Not be proud that we are number one or number two for stage crashes in the entire country. You've seen the horrible stories. And I don't think people knew this was going on until I shined a bright light on what is going on here. So I'm proud of what we're doing.
Stupid.
Money has no influence in what we're doing. In fact, if interests are aligned, those interests are also aligned with the interests of every single New Yorker who wants to see their rates go down. I don't think the trial lawyers' interests
you should not have followed me on insurance. I told you guys I don't know anything about
Can we have an issue with
somehow we got there.
donations? Is that false?
No, it's the issue is, does it have influence on individuals? And let them answer that question. Let them say why they're standing with trial lawyers to the detriment of the public. To the detriment of the public. That's a question that should be answered.
Just on that subject, the senator's comments were largely about the climate conversation, and that's one in which there was never any public proposal for anyone to read. It seems like the legislature also hasn't seen a full proposal. What's the holdup there? Because that conversation is taking place in a way that most people can't see it. Can you provide any sort of update on what the holdup is?
I deal with the two leaders in the room with me. What they want to share or not share is up to them. I have provided a plan. We provided a plan. Again, I'm not excited about having to do this. We are forced to because of advocates who took us to court, not satisfied with the pace that we were on, despite all the
That's what I
headwinds
was thinking.
that I've described many times to everybody here. Pandemic, supply chain disruptions, inflation, tariff, hostility out of Washington. All those are factors that no one contemplated in 2019. And still, no one gave us any grace for those realities in the global marketplace, either now with the war. And so they take us to court. We lose, and now I have no alternative but to change the law or be in violation of the law. That's why we're having a conversation about this, and the leaders understand that. So we'll get to the right place.
Oil there, but I guess that was a bad
Governor, you said last week that you spoke with President Trump by phone. You said it was about, I believe, New York specific issues. What kind of issues? What did you discuss? What kind of New York specific issues?
How is this still 50 cents? Does she not say Trump by name?
I often talk about Gateway Tunnel and the 2nd Avenue subway.
Specifically what this was?
I talked about a number of issues. He called me. He just wanted to talk. I don't know.
So it wasn't anything.
No, whenever I have someone of influence on a phone call, I'm going to fight for New York, no matter what the topic is. We're also very interested in expanding nuclear. There's some decisions being made on a Department of Energy program that'll help facilitate my
got to be like an oil gas angle, right?
Ambition to build more nuclear in the state of New York than has been built in the last 30 years anywhere in the country. And I'm real excited about this as I'm trying to figure out what our new energy future looks like in light of all those headwinds that we're facing. So I never miss an opportunity to champion what my priorities are for New York.
You brought up Gateway. You said he called you. What did he want to talk?
It had life, but
I don't know.
When he said hi, Governor, then what?
Oh, he said something to the effect of, you got to make sure crime doesn't go up in the city. We don't want people leaving the city. You make this, just those kind of like.
What a
I just
crazy
listen.
angle.
I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Okay, Governor, hearing that you are not pushing for the buffer zones, the space to protect worshipers and houses of worship from protesters in the budget anymore. Curious if that's the case.
No, check your source on that.
Okay, so
what a
you're
weird...
pushing for that.
Absolutely. Again, I think there's just been more attention on the areas that are perceived by the legislators as more challenging to deal with. That one has to happen. We need to protect people in their right to exercise their practice of faith without harassment. That is something I expect will happen.
So it's a concern that it won't hold up in court. Is it about the number of feet or the type of location?
Everybody has a view on it, but I think, again, I'm not going to speak for leaders. I'm telling you what I'm asking for, what I'm supporting, what I'm advocating for, and what I sincerely expect to have is some accommodations, along the lines of what we proposed, because I don't think that this is an area where there's not a lot of consensus. There are always going to be outliers, and listen, I don't stop because someone says you're going to get sued someday. I get sued every day of the week.
Governor, just a question on the process. I mean, you're running these budget negotiations alongside two other moderate Democrats. So ideologically, theoretically, you guys are all on the same page. I mean, what's the friction between the three of you when it comes to?
No, I have a lot of respect for the two leaders and what they deal with having to deal with conferences. I really do. They're doing, it's a tough circumstance for them. They have very different viewpoints in their conferences, and as leaders, they're trying to bring them together and find consensus.
What are those viewpoints?
No, you ask them. You ask them.
Trump's Jesus picture and, fighting with the Pope.
Oh, another
I think
Trump
it's important.
question.
I think the Pope is a man of peace. He has a right to speak out, and I think wise leaders would be smart to listen to him. And I grew up.
I don't, Road King. I don't really give out picks.
Strongly
I mean, I talk about positions I have, but like, you should not try to tell me. Please, guys, don't.
I'm rather shocked at what's happening these days.
I'm sorry if you're looking
not,
for people for picks. I don't want to become a pick person.
World that he envisioned.
I just talk
and
about.
And the Pope deserves more
mentions.
respect.
You should
And for
not
someone to
blindly tell me.
Release
I like hate the word picks.
An image that equates the president of the United States or anyone with Jesus is just
she does not
reprehensible
want to
to
say Trump by name.
hopefully everybody. It's a lot.
Oh, she's wrapping it. There it is.
Do you agree?
She doesn't want to be on the national news today. All right, this is her webpage. Now it's saying, please stand by. Apparently people are saying there's like a chance she goes back on this stream, on the web stream. So I have the web stream open. I know JD today is gonna be good, but look, this was like our first Hochul. All right, we didn't hit on oil and gas. It got so close towards the end there. But all right, we made $100. Just getting cheap insurance. We got pretty lucky on an explicit insurance question. JD's gonna be exciting today. I mean, obviously the main topics that people would think about for JD. He just came back from Pakistan, where he had the negotiation talks with Iran. Obviously, those didn't go well. But I think tonight it's going to be very important for the JD one to really understand the context of where it is. It says Turning Point Tour. Like, is that going to be with that Turning Point person? Like, is he going to be talking to Erica Kirk? Oh my gosh, he is. So, what I will say, to give you a warning about JD Vance tonight, given it's the Turning Point Tour, is be very careful. Yeah, I'll be streaming JD tonight, but I'll just say ahead of time, be very careful picking up any strikes that are related to policy on JD Vance tonight. Because if you look at the Turning Point meeting, for example, that they did with Caroline Levitt, you may have thought that they were going to talk a little bit about policy. They talked nothing about policy. Iran wasn't even mentioned for context with Caroline Levitt. Now, Caroline's a little less of someone you'd expect to go into policy because she's just like the talking mouth for the Republican wing. So JD, maybe he'll get more policy questions. But it's something to think about. You know, tonight, if you index too much to JD tonight as if it's like a rally, yeah, you're right that he's vice president. But I'm just saying, if you index to this as if it's the rallies that he does, I think you're not going to do well. Because I just don't think tonight is going to be like a rally where he's going over talking points of the Republican admin. This is at the Turning Point Tour. With Caroline Levitt, it was much more about talk about your life. You know what I mean? Like your career. That was what Caro was on Turning Point. It was the weirdest conversation because I was expecting. Is there Q&A? For Caro, there was like 3 Q&A questions at the end, but they were mostly pre-packaged questions, and they were just kind of dumb questions. They were just like, how do I be a Republican on campus and feel good about myself? Like it was just like, come on. I mean, I shouldn't be mean. These are people in college that are looking for identity. I take that back. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, it was just pre-screened questions. And then there was one question at the end on the SAVE Act, which rinsed a ton of people. But yeah, my whole point is just like, don't index too much to it being a rally and him talking about accomplishments and all these, you know, things. It probably won't be that. I don't know if it'll be about JD's career. Maybe it will be. But these things are more like mentorship things that like JD's doing to college kids. All right. The last piece I didn't get to finish earlier, we were talking about finance before this went on. Oh gosh, when I zoom in, Oh, I need a better camera. Using a webcam. All right. Here's the path to building financial wealth, okay? You get a job. You have your good paying job from college. Maybe you get a degree. If you can go to college, try to. If you are going to go to college, here's my advice there, and college is too expensive, go to a community college for 2 years, then transfer to a state school. Boom. You know, you get a decent degree, whether that's accounting, whether that's computer science, whether it's something like that. You're making okay money when you graduate. All right, when you have money to invest, 401k employer match, up to the employer match. Usually it's like anywhere from 4 to 8% if you're at a really good company. Then, assuming you're on a high deductible health insurance plan, you have to be to get access to this. You contribute to your health savings account, HSA. Sometimes companies will also match that. So again, that's double your money, free money glitch right there with the 401k match and HSA match. And then all contributions to your 401k and HSA are tax free. It's going to be an adjustment to your income. Basically, the government cannot tax those contributions. So if you make $100K a year, but you contribute $20K to a 401k, guess what? To the government, you make $80K a year. So boom, you're saving a lot of tax money there. All right, you may have even more money that you can save after that. So then next, what you want to do is you want to contribute to a Roth IRA, assuming you haven't been phased out income-wise. It starts to phase out, I think, when you make like 160, 170K. But Roth IRA, you don't get the tax credit now, but all your money in a Roth IRA is going to grow tax-free the rest of your life. So when you retire and you want to take money out of your Roth and you make $1 million in your Roth over 40 years, you'll pay no taxes when you withdraw it. The other benefit to a Roth that you'll love is so many young people are afraid to put money in retirement accounts because they read all this stuff on TikTok that's like, don't use a 401k. Well, if you contribute to a Roth IRA, you can withdraw your principal tax and penalty free. So say you contribute 50K to your Roth from the age of 20 to 30. If you become, when you're 30 and you're like, you know what, I want to pull my money out. You can pull 50K out of your Roth. You can pull whatever you contribute to it out of your Roth. So like, that'll make you feel a little more comfortable to where you're not like locking up money for the rest of the time. And then once you max that Roth, you contribute the rest to your 401k. So now you're maxing your 401k. I think it's like 22K in that range of what you can contribute. But for most of you, that'll probably be how much you can possibly save, because that's saving like in the range of like 35K a year. But if you do those things and that's all you do and you don't save money anywhere else, you will retire a multi-millionaire. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Take advantage of retirement accounts and you'll save a ton in taxes. Who wants to pay the government taxes, guys? Take advantage of retirement accounts. Don't listen to anyone who tells you that 401ks are stupid. They are not stupid. They are amazing. Yeah, Vicky is absolutely right. Max, if you can, all the way to the top. Thank you all for tuning in. All right, let's see. Jinxie, got a job as a degree, have money, 401k employer, match 8% HSA contribute. Both are tax-free. 100k, 20k contribute, 80k a year. Government thinks switching to Roth IRA, money goes tax-free. Roth IRA, you can which tax and penalty free. Once maxed before you retire as multi-millionaire, save money taxes. Everything Jinxie just said is correct, guys. Listen to what Jinxie's saying. And when you're using prediction markets like Kalshi, use them responsibly as well. It may look really easy to make a lot of money. I make a lot of money on Kalshi, but I've been doing this for a long time. You can also lose money, so just be responsible when you use these platforms. There is no need to put a lot of money on Kalshi, especially if you're starting out. Just put like $100 max and then try to build out an edge. My initial deposit, which is not more than I recommend, was 5K. Okay, and now I have, made like 270 something K. So you can start with an extremely small amount. There's no reason you need to be loading a ton of money, and you shouldn't even want to. You have to prove out that you have an edge first, right? Before you like go big on these things. So start with $100, test it out, and then just see if you can grow it. Yes, we will be live on JD Vance later today. Yeah, the interest is nice, Jinxie. I'm not gonna lie. So, but thank you all for coming to my TED Talk. We'll be back tonight at 6 p.m. for actually an exciting meeting with JD Vance. And goddamn, hopefully Trump will go live this week with some open press, man. It's been brutal. No Trump. Take care.